Traci,
Wulwyn, how are
Traci,
you today?
Traci, I am fine. I am fine. And you? How are
Fine.
you?
Really? You're fine?
I'm fine.
How many times have we talked about that word fine?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent.
There we go.
Um, I mean, I
Fine. I'm
mean,
like, I don't really know what that means, fine.
fine is, everything's kosher,
Everything's
everything's
copacetic.
copacetic. That was the word I was about to. Uh, we,
I love it.
I'm flowing like a
You're
twig in the
flowing.
Nile,
Well, that's good. Flowing is good. Yeah, flowing like the Nile. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully the Nile keeps flowing.
So what's up? How are you?
So yeah, so I'm well. I was telling you offline that I didn't sleep very well last night. So it's kind of one of those days where I feel like I'm a bit, it's been nice because I've had a nice chunk of time this morning to finish up, but I officially finished my book.
Ay, ay, ay.
Not just the writing, right, which had been finished for a while, but the editing, the decisions on the cover,
Mm-hmm.
the acknowledgements, the what they call the pitch info, which is the stuff
Gotcha.
that goes on Amazon that talks about what the book's about and all that stuff. So now all I have to do is sign off on stuff. So I'm pretty excited.
There you go. Yeah, let's there we go. Oh my goodness. Oh, hold up.
Yeah, birthing this baby, it's like an elephant birth, I'm like, wow. But it's been fun because, like I said, the actual writing has been done for a little bit. And then I had that time period where I had to find a new publisher. So that was, that did take a little, not that much time, but it took some time. And so now to be in this phase where it's kind of like once the baby's been born, you're learning, like the staff is teaching you how to nurse the baby and, take care of the baby and what the baby needs and all of that stuff. And what was that? God, all sorts of sound effects today. You drum rolling?
Drum rolling, girl, because you completed the book, you completed the process. We have to celebrate. We have to celebrate. We have to celebrate. So I got one more. Come on. I don't want you to talk. Congratulations. It's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Oh my goodness. So do we do I put author at the beginning of your name, author, but do you have to put it out first, or can we put author, the author Traci Phillips, Waldman Phillips? When do you do that? When do we?
I mean, if you were to ask me, I don't know what the actual technical, but if you ask me, I think it's author once the book is out.
Okay.
But some people might not agree with that. They're like, once the book is written.
Yeah.
So it's like,
so it's either a published author or just an.
I'm not a published author yet. I'm a writer. At this point, I'm a writer, right?
Gotcha.
So once the book is published, then I will call myself an author. Published author.
So, congratulations.
Congratulations.
It's a big deal. You should have told me this would have been, have some cake here, you have a muffin delivered or something, but congratulations truly, because, I remember it was last year when we started and you were, writing your points and having I think you got a writing coach when you were getting in the weeds per se, and then came back up strong, out strong. Just permit me, please. I wrote something on Facebook called wait for it.
I saw that.
Just wait for it. Wait for it. And this is a wait for it. This what you've done. When you were going through it, you thought, wait for it, Traci, wait for it. Because now that it's been birthed, the growth of it, you don't even, the amazing thing about this that you've written is somebody is going to read it and go, this was the answer I was looking for.
Mm.
You understand? And
Yeah.
even if it's not a million people, though a million people, and you will have to go and reprint, best-selling New York Times best-selling author was going to be on top of that, on the top of that. But if just one person reads that thing, that wait for it was worth it. That you waited for it to come, to deliver, to shed light on that one person, for that one person.
Appreciate that. Well, and it was very important for me, and I know I've talked about this a number of times. It was very important for me to enjoy the entire process, because there's nothing worse than going through a pregnancy and being like, when is the baby coming? I mean, every single part of getting anything from beginning stages to end stages is a part of the process that gets to be enjoyed, or at least acknowledged for its importance. And that was something, that's why I took a while, is because, I'm not gonna write when I'm not feeling inclined to, I'm not feeling inspired. I'm not feeling, and I really did let this book kind of write itself in some regards. I mean, in a lot of ways, it was a culmination of a lot of things I've already written.
Wow.
And just putting it in the right order and
Right.
adding and changing a little bit and everything to make it flow and to give it that direction that it needed to have. What's really been fun is the creative aspects. So I'm not going to give anything away, but the book is written differently, not just in content, but the style and the way you'll see when you get the book. And that was fun to kind of come up with that idea. I had this inspiration, go, what if I did it this way? What if I set it up this way? And then coming up with, then what do I call this? What will I call this? Because it all has to be in that vein of that genre that I'm trying to kind of mimic. And so that has been really, really great. And then just, designing the book cover, and, I wanted something simple and something that was, symbolic.
Yeah.
But also looked professional. So, all these aspects that get to go into it, I call that the creative the whole thing is creative process, but that's the part where I get to be collaborative, right? Because that's not my zone of genius. That's not my zone of brilliance. So, writing is, but the rest of it isn't. And so I am a deeply collaborative person. I mean, that's why I like this. This is why, I love supporting clients, in growing their lives and business, because, it is collaborative. And I think one of the things that I'm finding people are starting to understand more, we're shifting. I see this kind of paradigm shift from independent thinking to shared thinking, right? In the sense, not group think, that's a different thing. This idea of independent, like the independent self, and I see it in a lot of ways with just even trademarking. Like everybody has to put, I need to trademark that so that my independent thoughts are placed on it. And it's all about me. I'm a best-selling author and I've put out this book, and this I focus, which is what I call that independent thinking. What do I need to do that's valuable in the world? And how do I need to put myself out there so that everybody sees my unique identified self? We're now shifting more to, and it has been a slow process. We've seen it, words like servant leader, when that started to come on board, is more of this idea that the I within us is here for the we, right? Which has always been the case. It's just a lot of conditioning has had us thinking that we had to stand out to be valuable when we've always been valuable. I like to use the analogy of the cell, right? So you extract a single cell out of the human body. The cell can't do anything independently. It wasn't made to exist and be valuable as an independent cell. But the thing is that as soon as you extract that single cell, not only can it not function on its own, the body functions differently with the removal of that single cell, right? So we were made to be collaborative in that regard. The body needs that one cell. That cell needs the body to have the value it was created for. And I think we are now starting to shift in that regard. So the question is not so much, how do I trademark my thing and how do I stand out as unique, but it's how do I recognize the value I'm here to serve in the greater whole?
Yeah.
right? Because ultimately, once we are sure about that, and that's the work I do, is come home to yourself, figure all that stuff out, not for the independence of it, right? Sovereignty, because people say, you talk about sovereignty a lot, isn't that independence? And like sovereignty and freedom is to be able to, that cell to be able to say, I'm a little toenail cell, I own that. And if I were extracted from the little tiny part of the body that I'm in, that would not allow that part of the body or the body to function the same. So I know I am sovereign in my knowing of the job I'm here to do, the duty that I have.
Mm.
I've named it, I've owned it, and I'm going to do that. But it's so the larger whole can function properly and
Wow.
effectively,
Wow.
right? And this is a really exciting time, I think, that we're in, because I'm just seeing this ramp up of people, just everything. I listen to language, right? So when I hear the things come out and the words people use, and
Mm-hmm.
how they start to question that, it's like, well, isn't that ego when you talk about this? And like, not when it's spoken about this way. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's absolutely necessary. I mean, I think the reason that people use surrogacy of arrogance or what we call ego in leadership or in any other arena, is because they haven't truly owned who they are, and they don't truly know the value that they play.
Mm.
They have to use this pumped up version, right? I've sold all these records or books, or I'm married to a famous person, or I am a famous person, or look at the significance, that is one of our human needs that we need to meet, becomes this, how can I stand out and be different for the sake of standing out and being different? That's the
Mm.
difference.
Mm.
Right. We're shifting to a time of not standing out for the sake of being different and unique, but owning who we are for the sake of being valuable in that collective space.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. To eavesdroppers out there, hey, send your comments on. I see one person up there. Just send your comments. It's amazing that we would start this conversation like that.
Hmm.
Excuse me. We Sarah, Madras, and I were speaking yesterday, and I heard you guys had a good time. Why you didn't call me? Oh, it was an all girls thing. My
It
bad.
was an all girls thing. Otherwise,
Anyway,
we did talk
any
about you at dinner, though, in a
any
very good way.
anyways, she was rubbing it into. I was like, the three amigos, it went out. Oh my goodness, that was good. But yesterday we were speaking, and I wrote it down. That's why I went to look, and it was the conversation. And Sarah, we were talking, and then we found out why we're attracted to each other, why you're attracted to me to you, you to Sarah, you to Jenny to the other person, Liz Roselli, all these different names, Ed Dudley, all these different people who in our tribe, right? And I wrote this. Our path is not from I want ego place, but a we, a contribution place, society, team, generations that we are modeling it for. We're all on this together. We are in this together. It's all about our families. It's not about me, it's about us. We're all leading all to freedoms. When you learn something new, you can't unlearn it. It is for us all to have freedom. What we do, people can't unlearn. It's a spiritual, emotional, financial piece. And so then she said, Jenny was talking to me about succulents. My succulents outgrew, and we had to take it and put it in a bigger pot. And then it grows and it outgrows that pot. And you can't survive in a small environment. We must replant to share the message. So our message here is the succulents, and we go, come on, words, whoop, throw it, get in a bigger pot. Someone else who will listen to eavesdrop, who will listen to this, and they will get a new revelation that's bigger than what we're talking here, and they go, and they will take that, grow it, and that's us not trademarking and saying what we're about to say here. Please don't rethink it. Please don't go back and rethink and create something new from it, because we'll be offended. I think this comes to abundance, to our
Yes. A lot of
understanding of abundance, to our understanding of where these thoughts come from. Someone keeps stealing your quotes, Traci. You turn and they say it and they put their name under it. They just keep stealing it. They keep, and you look, do you get angry or do you smile and say, the fact that you're stealing means that you're lacking. The fact that I'm not getting angry is it's bursting out of me because I can sit here and do 50 quotable quotes. I can just come out of me. So go ahead, take that. I don't mind, right?
Well, that's not exactly how it would go down with me.
Yeah, because no, really.
I would, you know why I would get angry? Not because they stole my quote, but because there's something greater in them that they're supposed to bring out. And when we're borrowing other people's words, we're blocking our own from coming forth. It's like our brain tells us that we have to do that because we couldn't possibly produce
come
something
up with that.
inspiring.
Yes, it's that.
That's what would make me angry. Not that they stole my words, but that they're truncating their own ability to come up with their own brilliance.
Traci, you turned my brain into you just you know what you just did with my brain? You did what was that? What's that game you would play and you touch the dots? What is it? Twisters.
Oh, Twister.
Twister.
Yeah.
You just
other
twisted.
People have used that as an analogy with my work. This feels a bit like a brain twister.
You twisted because I'm angry, but I'm not angry because it's talking. I'm angry that they are not allowing themselves to be the best.
Underappreciate their superpowers. When we undervalue our superpowers, we're undervaluing ourselves. You know, when we feel we have to borrow someone else's. Now, it's one thing to use it as a framework.
Correct.
I do that all the time.
We do.
If I'm looking for inspiration of something, I'll be like, oh, I just need some framework to work off of. Let me read some, people I like, their work or whatever, and see if it can stimulate something. Oh, by all means, that's what it's there for. But it's stimulating what is already, and it's not even, can I find something? It's in there.
It is.
It's in there, and it's going to die within you if you don't let it come forward. So if you're always borrowing, sticking your name on someone else's stuff just to look important, you are missing out on giving your greatest value to the world, and the world is the biggest loser in that. And everybody has it. Yeah. I mean, if somebody wants to borrow writing, then they're a writer. I always say when we're drawn to something, if I'm like, oh, Wulwyn, I love your ability to do whatever, like that creative ability to take ideas and what I tell people is, if you're that drawn to that characteristic trait or that value in that person, you have it in you. That's true. It's a mirror. Same is true for the things we don't like. That's true. That person is so we better start looking in the mirror. Oh, that's where I told that story before. Have I told you the story about when I was in the family constellations workshop? And I won't get into the actual, details about what family constellation work does. If anybody's interested, you can look it up. But it's very healing. It helps heal family dynamics. And the science that they've done about passing generational habits, behaviors, wounds, traumas, and all that through our cellular DNA. Gotcha. It helps to heal that kind of stuff. So anyway, part of it is you're supposed to bear witness to your life. So you have people who stand in for you, and a story unfolds. So the reason I bring this up is I had a particular ongoing long-term issue with my family of origin. And I was expressing that, well, my representative, I'm watching all of this. My representative is expressing this because it's being asked certain questions like, well, how do you feel about this dynamic that's unfolding? And it's like, well, I'm fine if I'm just over here. And well, why do you want to be over here and have everybody else over there? She was asked. She says, well, it's just those people don't get me. They don't understand me. They're so, and then there was this pause. And I'm like, oh my God, she's saying everything that's like, I think on a regular basis, like they're so self-absorbed, she said. And I'm like, that's kind of how I feel. And what does the facilitator do? She it's like the perfect delivery. There's a pause, and she looks at her and she says, huh, so how does it feel to be self-absorbed? And the person who was my representative and myself watching this whole thing had the same reaction at the same time. It's like that twister brain.
Wow.
Never looked at it from that perspective. Like, you're so self-absorbed in your own wounds and your own, problems in feeling hurt and disregarded and everything, that you're doing the same thing that you claim they're doing. Right. So this is the thing is we all get to get honest with those things. So if we're drawn to something, develop it in yourself. And we're drawn to something in a positive way, develop it in yourself, hone that skill, take classes if you need to, get a coach, I don't know, just
go on YouTube, Google it.
Find it,
seek it,
own it in yourself. And if you don't like it, do the same thing.
Wow.
Discover it.
Wow.
Figure out how you can start to make different choices and decisions and all that. But, we're the only ones that can make change happen in our lives. Things will change around us all the time. Nothing will change within us until we do the work. Right. And guess what? How do we end up giving meaning to what's happening around us? It's based on the storylines of what's going on within us. Right. So that we have to have control over.
Yeah.
But we just, kind of give that control away by saying, oh, this is not under my control. I can't do this. It's being done to me. Right. Type of thing. So yeah, really powerful.
It is. I'm thinking this, and I don't know why the thought comes to me, but maybe that's why I'm supposed to think now. Colonization, right? So when you see countries colonizing, I'm feeling it's the opposite of what we just said. It's strangling the creativity of people. It's strangling the creativity of nations, of culture, right? Because if you go in Africa, you would see Portuguese things, Spanish things, right? And you're looking like, how in the world? And this group is completely acting Spanish or some European, like this in hot Africa, in Nigeria. The legal, I don't know, the headdress that's worn in England, the white curls, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Sister, do you know in our hot Africa, they're putting it on and coming in to their meetings, and I'm looking,
you must be miserable.
I'm saying to myself, what in the world that our culture, and I'm not saying, when I'm saying I'm talking about you saying the same thing I'm saying, my culture that I have, why should I come and go to the next person and tell them that, yeah, here's the right one? Because that's what colonization to me looks like.
Yeah.
It's coming and saying, what you have, you don't know how to use it. You don't know how to comprehend. You don't know how to utilize it. I'm going to come and do it for you. I'm going to show you how to do it. But here's the flip of it. You tell me my culture isn't, and I'm talking directly about me because that's my storyline here. You tell me that my culture isn't, and you bring jeans and you bring t-shirts and you bring sneakers, right? But then all of a sudden, a couple of, I gotta say this. When I'm using the bathroom, the way I'm squatting, you say, oh, that's primitive. But do you know that, oh, it's so good to walk barefooted. There's a reason, the science behind walking barefooted is blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, the plant-based, it's so good. There's no need to, don't eat hamburgers, they're not healthy. Eat the plants. The next one is, oh, you're wearing the garb now, the Ankara, right? It's such a thing now. But then guess what that does to the people who you went and you changed? They're looking like, you mean my original stuff was good? You mean, so stick to, in line with what you said, trust yourself. Trust what you have. wait for it. Wait for it, because if you wait and you don't adapt, and I'm not saying certain things that would come into to someone bringing their culture in isn't wrong. No, but don't stifle, don't remove mine. We can
Don't
coexist.
intentionally come in and take over and control and change everything. Well, and
Yeah,
what would that
and
look
don't be
like
cunning
differently?
about it, you know?
Yeah, well, and the question is, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking perhaps right now is, okay, what would be a better option? Because there's plenty of times where bringing, I mean, is it really bad that there's cultural cross pollination? No, it's great. That's
No.
diversity. But when you come in humbled, it's kind of like when I went to Europe, when I studied an undergrad, my junior year in
Uh-huh.
Switzerland. One of the reasons I wanted to take all my coursework with the rest of the students who were speaking French was I wanted to immerse myself. Yes, I wanted to get better at the language, but I wanted to immerse myself. I'm thinking, I can go to classes with other Americans and speak English in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I come all the way over to Switzerland where there is a cross
Yes.
section of people from all over the world and not at least try
Mm.
to become a part of their culture and do it the way they do it? That's
Yes.
only going to grow me.
Whew.
It's easy for me to bring my stuff in and make those professors speak English to me so I can understand them. And then and really that's a lot of, I hate to say it, but that's a lot of the way Americans handle things.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they speaking my language? Well, you're in their country. I mean, come on, let's get real. Not everybody has to. Thank God a lot of people do. Lucky you that many people learn English, but why
Yes.
is that mandatory? You're
Yeah.
in their country. And I
Yeah.
think when we go with reverence and we go with understanding, we say, again, it's the offering. This is my value that I can bring, but I want to have reverence for where I'm choosing to go. I'm choosing to come into someone else's culture with another language and other ways of doing things and understanding. How about I come with an open mind, wanting to learn from them? And then guess what happens when somebody comes to you and says, Wulwyn, tell me about you. I want to know all about you.
Hmm.
How does that make you feel? What do you want to
Mm.
do in return?
Yep. Yep.
You
Yep.
want them to tell you about them,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
it's the law of reciprocity. We want to give what we have been given. And when
Correct.
we're given that reverence, I'm coming to study your culture, to understand your people, to better, acknowledge and have reverence for what you bring in. It will be a natural development that those people will want to learn from you too,
Correct.
to some extent. And even if they're not consciously thinking about that, they just will, because we all do things differently, right? When somebody's like, that's how I know that happened to me. It's just like, oh, sometimes it was language based, so my friend is like going on and on about how she was out drinking the night before and she was so pissed. Sorry if I
Mm-hmm.
offend anybody with my language, but
Mm-hmm.
she was so pissed. And I'm just like, why was she angry? And the whole time she's telling the story, I'm thinking, why was she angry? I'm not getting anywhere in the storyline why she would be angry.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked, I was like, so why were you angry? And she's like, angry? And I said, you said you were pissed. She goes, that means drunk.
Drunk. Yep.
I was thinking the whole time she was talking about something else, and I was so confused. But we learn from one another regardless. We
Yes.
don't have to force ourselves on other
No,
people.
no.
That's all ego. That's all, the significance factor of trademarking, and I have to own it and I have to control it. And that's shifting.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
shifting.
Carl, please don't get pissed. Good to see you laughing on there. But you talk about reverence. I know we come back to reverence. I still remember the day I learned respecting other people's culture. Even there's a culture within a culture, subculture. There are layers even within the same. You say, Carl says, "I won't." I remember we went out of town. We went in the countryside, and we were hungry. We were far from shops. We were far from food. And Dad said we went to my uncle's and we went to his farm, which was deep in the bush. While there, I said, "Gosh, I'm hungry." And I'm like, "Well, you hungry?" "Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm hungry." And I'm just announcing it to everybody. "I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry." We get into the town. When we get into the town, um, my uncle says, my nephew is hungry. And the townspeople were like, oh, let's fix the food. We're about to eat. And they brought the food. When they brought the food, it was fufu. So it's dough-like. It's dough-like, but it's not dough. You know, it's cassava, pounded cassava, pounded yams that they made, softened up. And I saw it, and they put a gray soup on top of the food. And I looked at the gray soup. Now, this is a 7-year-old guy looking at this thing coming from the city per se. And I looked and I saw the gray soup, and then I see these little legs, you know, at maybe 2 inches. You know, they got some tie on it, but then it gets slender at the end. And I'm looking, and then I look at my dad and I go, "What's that?" He says, "Oh, those are they're not frogs, but they're a type of frog, you know, that has really slender and so it was a frog soup."
Oh.
And I looked at my dad and said, "I'm not hungry anymore. I'm not hungry." So my dad looks at me, and people prior to that, I mean, these people were scurrying about to fix this, and they brought it and they set it down and for all of us to eat from the same big pan. And my dad looked at me and said, "Son, you're about to learn something that will go with you for the rest of your life." And I was like, "No, no." He says, "Son, you came into this people place, you announced that you were hungry. Don't eat the meat. Take at least one spoon of their food to respect and give reverence to their time, give reverence to them for preparing and for giving it to you. Had this been something you liked, wouldn't you have eaten it?" Yeah. In life, you will walk into situations where you don't want it, but because you have to respect the people around you, and it's not something to kill you. You know, he's giving me this life lesson. It says you have to give them reverence. If you turn your back and walk away, oh, Wulwyn, the thing that will go on here would be untold. And I looked at him and I was like, this stuff isn't gonna kill me. It's not gonna. So guess what? I dug in, and then all of a sudden I go, these people have been eating this thing and they haven't died. Who am I? And I dug in again. I didn't eat the meat, but I kept digging in and digging in. And what that taught me to this day, that when I get in situations where I'm uncomfortable, but the person or the people prepared, and they are honoring me with whatever they prepared, and I go and I go, uh-uh, uh-uh, nah. I go and you know what to do? I've been in situations in Dominican Republic, in Liberia, in different parts of Africa, where they say, "Here we go," and they bring it. And I think to my dad saying, and I go, you know what? They look, they're like, they're looking at you circumspectly, like, let me see if, and I do, oh, okay, yes, again, man, I'm good. I'm good. You ate it, right? You didn't die. But let's move that from food and let's look at behavior. Let's look at the way we engage with people, how we, if you get in an area and they tell you and you don't know how to behave, observe. Get in the back. That's how that translates to me. That eating the food, it translates to me that when I get somewhere I don't know the protocol, I go back and I observe the people who've been in that, and I say, ah, they sit like that, and I sit like that, and all I do is I mirror.
Yeah. Well, we have incredible inner gadgetry that's honed in on all of these things, and we've gotten so headspace oriented. You know, the thinking brain is just constantly thinking, that we forget that we have other ways of knowing, other ways of figuring things out, other ways of navigating our day-to-day successfully. You know, and I love that reverence piece. You know, raising my daughter, we always said that she needed to try something at least once.
Mm.
She would take that, you know, like many kids do, you know, a look at something and go, ugh.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
you only have to try it. You don't have to eat all of it, but you need to try it. And because you don't know
You
until
don't.
you do. So that's another thing too. It's like we assume because something looks different than what we know that we won't like it.
Mm.
Right. But what that
Mm.
also does is it builds this ability to be resilient in our and able to pivot and change quicker.
Mm.
Right. Is if we, you know, I know plenty of, and this is one of the things coming from a background in health, you know, that always bothered me. And again, I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody, but it is my opinion, is that we do this thing with our kids when we're raising them. It's like, oh, they won't eat that. So we just give them chicken nuggets or whatever they eat. And we, you know, kids are not getting the nutrients they need, folks. I don't care how many vitamins and minerals they've pumped into your chicken nuggets. Like they need a wide range. I'm not going to get on a pulpit, but at any rate, you know, part of what has developed Madison's, you're cracking me up. Part of what's developed Madison's palate for different kinds of foods is because there's a lot of times where, you know, we see her gobbling something up that she initially was just like, I don't know if I want to touch that. We're like, see, if you hadn't tried it, you wouldn't have known you like it.
Yep.
But I
Yep.
mean, she's willing to try anything, and her friends, you know, I'll get, even to this day, parents who are like, we love having Madison over. We love it. She'll eat anything.
Yes. Yes.
She's not a picky eater, which also develops bad digestive issues when you don't have a full range
The
of food. So,
variation.
you know, when kids are developing, but I think it is a great, it's a great analogy for anything in life, because when we get too hard and fast in the ways, the way we like things, and things change, like they have been a lot
With my
quickly,
cheese.
right? Those who are more adaptable and are willing to do what you've talked about and say, okay, it's different. How can I work with this?
Yes.
Right? Are the ones that continue to not just survive, but thrive, because then you bump up against new ideas. Like, oh, I mean, who would have known that I actually love giving online presentations? I wasn't doing anything like that pre-COVID. Everything was in person. I love in person, right? And you know, if I was offered an opportunity, I might look at it, but it wasn't really my thing. Oh my God, I loved it. Love creating the slideshows. Love, you know, who would have known if I hadn't been put through this? Like, well, this is all that's available now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Learn to
Yes.
like it or figure something else out.
Correct.
And so I think that, you know, again, when we become in order to become adaptable, coachable, open-minded, all of those wonderful, you know, adjectives that we subscribe to the things and the people who do things in a way that we, you know, admire. Right?
Yep.
That's how it happens.
That's how it happened. So Carl says, he's crazy. He's crazy. He says, my mom would fix liver and it looked like steak. But because I knew it was liver, I lost my appetite. But because I love my mom so much, I pretend to put it in my mouth.
Oh, that reminds me of my husband. So he grew up going to Florida to visit his grandparents. He's from Annapolis, Maryland, and they would take the trek and they'd go stay with grandma and grandpa. And grandmother loved making egg salad sandwiches, loved it, and thought the kids loved it too.
Ooh.
And she would make them these egg salad sandwiches and send them on to the beach, and they would bury them in the sand. And one day they're out there and they didn't know it, but grandma was coming to check on them, and they're getting ready to, you know, bury the sandwiches in the sand. And then all of a sudden it's like, I can't remember if Jeff or his sister saw it. It's just like, oh, it's so good.
Look, so Carl goes again, he comes with another one. I was fed chicken all my life, but even if I go to a seafood place with so much to try, I still want chicken. Look, Carl, let me tell you something. I've been burned so many times when I go to a steak place and order seafood. I go to a seafood place and order steak. And I said to myself, you know what? I am never going to a place that is known to fix X and order Y. I'm not doing it. I'll go to a chicken place to order chicken, Carl. I'm not going to the steak place because they don't know how to fix chicken. Or the seafood place, they don't know how to fix a sandwich. No, I go to a sandwich shop for a sandwich. So with my wife, when we do go, and they go, so we go to a steak place and they order a sandwich, and the sandwich comes or chicken or fish, and they say it wasn't good. I'm like, duh. You came to a place that
steak
they
house.
said they don't know how to do it, so they already told you. But we're just trying to increase our inventory here, you know, get people like y'all to come and buy it. But yeah, no, Carl, but I hear you, man. I hear you. We get stuck in our habits,
We
and you
like
know,
what we
even
like.
we like what we like, and it's good to like what you like, right? But oh my goodness, the smorgasbord of of the of life, of these different things that exist. How can I just be on, like my wife eats with her eyes. She looks, and if she doesn't, she's like, mm-mm. I'm like, baby, just try the thing, try the thing. So my son's like her, my daughter's like me. So in the garbage can, right? I look and I go,
They're like,
mm, this is good. Life. You know, if I was, I don't want to hang around. I don't want to hang around you, right? Or you say you don't want to hang around me. You don't like tall African, somebody who was born in Africa. I don't want to talk with him. Or I don't want a Caucasian woman. I don't want to talk to her. What we got in common? I ain't talking to her. Oh, you know what I mean? So you see what we're missing when we put ourselves in those boxes where we say, I don't want to test or try.
yeah.
You're missing a whole lot. Now, I wouldn't have known somebody who would use egoic in a sentence, you know? I mean, come on now.
Well, I think this is really great. So I think we should call, I think we should use your words and call this episode the smorgasbord of life.
Mm.
I think that is really great language. I love that language because, really what I feel the vein of what we were discussing here is not simply about the mindset of, growth, right? How do we grow ourselves? We grow ourselves by trying different things and having new experiences.
Yes.
And I used to love that about living in Europe because it seemed like the entire time I was there was always something new I was experiencing and learning as I traveled around, and that keeps us tapped in, right? It keeps us feeling alive and vital. When things get to be too much the same, yes, we might be comfortable there and we might know that and we like it because we're comfortable there, right? And there's nothing, to your point, there's nothing wrong. If you have a favorite restaurant and they make this chicken cacciatore that you just die for, like, yeah, by all means. I do that. My daughter's always like, okay, mom, you're going to get the salad again. I'm like, because I don't eat pasta. I don't eat this. I don't eat that,
Correct.
and this is what they have and I like it. Okay, well, that's one thing. And I don't eat bread and I don't do these things. So I'm not going to do it just because it's something different.
True.
So there are those moments, but then maybe go to a different restaurant, and so I'm always thinking about that. It's like, it's about balance, right? It really is. I mean, when we're too much in change, which people have found, it can really affect our mental health, because we don't feel safe. We don't feel secure. Things are constantly changing and moving. And so it's like a tree. I always like to use trees as an analogy because the tree has branches that go way, way up, right? And they got their little leaves and they pull through photosynthesis, and the sun, they get what they need from the sun, but then there's the trunk and then there's roots, right? And the roots don't just help give nutrients from the soil, it also stabilizes the tree, right? So do the branches.
Yeah.
Stabilize the tree. So it's about going up and down, right? It's about grounding ourselves in what is known and what is comfortable, right? But if we're doing only that, we have no leaves, we can't get what the sun gives us. We can't get new, you know, different ideas and different exposure to different experiences and all that comes with that, because that grows us in a big way too.
Yeah.
Right. And similarly, if we're always changing things constantly, you know, those people that they can't stay still, or they change their mind like 50 times a minute and
Correct.
everything, they don't feel very grounded. They don't feel very stable. They don't feel very secure. It's not somebody you're going to call on if you need something.
Gotcha.
So it really is about developing both aspects of ourselves. And so whether we're talking about food and like what we order and what we eat, or whether we're talking about not throwing ourselves, that's the wrong bit of words, you know, inviting ourselves into opportunities to experience things that are different that we've never experienced before, with this kind of, curiosity mind, right?
Yes.
Which we had as kids, and then somehow just, you know, some people have kept it.
Yes.
People have kept it. I know a lot of people who are like that. They're just, you know, adventurers, and they're, you know, they love things that are different. That's really healthy.
It is.
Right? It's really healthy. And if we're talking mental health, physical health, emotional health, you know, whatever health we're talking about, we need these things in order to have that health.
Balance. Yes. Yes. You know, a balance. You know, you were saying, you know, just a good balance. Carl is on a roll. He just said that I like being around. I like being around people who know more than me, because it stretches my mind to learn more. Because if I'm the smartest one in the room, I gain nothing. You know, and it's only a certain type of person, Carl, who would think that way. Someone who's a growth mindset, right?
Yep.
And that's not intimidated of another person. I have a client who says she got invited, she got offered a job, and the person goes, I hope you're not intimidated by educated people, highly educated people. And she goes, why? She says, the person who offered the job said, because you will be the least educated in the room. And the least educated, I think she has a master's or double master's, etc., right? And she goes, oh my goodness, I thrive in that kind of environment. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to collaborate and learn. Do you know what it takes? I mean, Carl, Traci, to go in a room where you have the expectancy that, gosh, I'm going to learn. I'm going to gain, because the people in this room are smart. Not smarter. They're diverse.
They might have, you know, but I gather that the reason she's being called to this environment too is because she has smarts too of a different kind, right?
Yes.
So if we spend our whole, and this is true of anybody, right? If we spend our whole lives developing one aspect of ourselves, we'll get really good at that one aspect, but then the other ones are not developed, right? Yes. So other people will be smarter, right? So there's the people who have higher EQ, emotional intelligence, you know, than people. In fact, I had two of my best friends in high school were brilliant, and they had more intelligence than I'll ever have in many lifetimes probably put together. They had no common sense. I mean, we would go out and I was the common sense in the room. You know, I'm like, I don't know if this is smart. Like, you know, like, I'm like, yeah, common sense is not common. You know, so we all are genius in certain ways. And I think that's the key piece, is that, you know, my question would be like, what do you mean by least intelligent? What intelligence are you referring to?
Yes.
Right? Like, because I am probably more intelligent in other areas. So we're all equal, right? And I think that kind of owning is important, but to your point, being able to not be so caught up in the ego of needing to be equal, at least in some other way. I'm just saying that because it's true. There's nobody who doesn't have genius somewhere.
Correct.
And I don't care if you've been even labeled as having a spectrum disorder or whatever. You are genius at something.
Oh yeah.
I mean, in fact, if anything, I could go down a lot of the spectrum disorders and give you the genius of the people who have or been diagnosed with those particular disorders. So, you know, the genius lies in all of us. And I think that's the key importance, is recognizing that and finding where the gaps are that need that genius.
Yes. You know, Traci, you were saying, but then here's where as you were speaking that, and I went, oh my goodness, that's why you need to go and try and attempt other places, experience other things, because here goes. If I'm the dumb one at, and I say I used the word, I'm sorry, I'm just saying, I'm self-deprecating. If I'm the dumb one at writing, right? And I say, but I'm a writer, and I stay writing, I stay writing, I stay writing, and I don't go out in life to go and taste this gumbo, right? And I go and I
Play
attempt,
basketball.
yeah, there you go play back, or I go and speak. And when I speak, people go, oh, you are. But because I didn't have the open mind to go, there's something else I can do. Let me attempt it. Let me try it. A lot of us, let me talk to us, listeners, eavesdroppers, all of us on here. The skill or skills that you have, and you're staying in your lane and saying, I don't know any other thing. I'm going to stay right in here. I want you, and that is only if you're not comfortable where you are, but you are set and you are settling. You're settling in there. I'm speaking to you girlfriends and boyfriends who are in relationships where you're settling and you're saying, huh, nothing else, because somebody has bombarded you with words that makes you feel, ugh, right? Take your game somewhere else. Take your skills somewhere else. It's not that your skills aren't needed in this place. You're not producing or thriving in this particular place. There's a place where you are the right fit. And when your right fit gets in that, when you put that square in that square hole, and where it's perfect, you will look back and say, gosh, why did I waste time in trying to put that circular in that square? Even though it could go, but you're not fitting properly. Go out, go and try something. Go out and try something. Like, as you said, Traci, you didn't even know that you would enjoy online presentation, right? Here it is now that you have the option of saying, well, you know what? I can do it online. Oh, sure, good. I'll just change my top.
Yeah.
Hey, I had to bring some, but no, really, you're not good at speaking. Go and write. Don't stay speaking. Don't. You're not good at singing, but you say you want to be in the choir. Leave the choir. Leave the choir. Maybe you can go and be a greeter at the door. You know, you're not
That's where
good at.
your values needed. Well, I was laughing when you were talking about that. I think it's really great. Square peg, square hole. When we were kids, we would do, especially during holidays, we put together these puzzles.
Uh-huh.
Especially when my brother was younger, he didn't really have much patience for the puzzles. And he would find a piece that kind of looked like it meant to go somewhere in the puzzle. And he would just try to jam it in there instead of going looking for where it fits. Like, and that's why I was laughing, because I remember that. I'm like, yeah, that is such a good analogy. You know, it's like you end up trying to jam it. And so what? The rest of the puzzle is not going to work, because now you got the wrong place and the wrong piece in the wrong place. Right. And that's that cell, analogy as well. And is that when you don't find your rightful place, not only is there a big gaping hole in that puzzle where your piece is meant to fit, the place where you are taking up space, another puzzle piece is meant to be there, right? So you don't sing as well in the choir, you're taking up space for someone else who is a beautiful singer and can come and take that place, right? But there's something else I thought of as well, is when we get out there and we go out of our lane, let's say, not even out of our lane to do stuff, but just out in the world to expose ourselves and discover different things, we gain an appreciation. Where does appreciation come from? It comes from having that experience, right? So I remember when I would date guys and they didn't tip well, I would stop dating them. I know that sounds like really silly, but when they were bad tippers, I would have a conversation with them. And if they didn't change, I would not be in that relationship. This was early on. Not just that, there was always other things. I know people are like, God, but
I'm listening.
It told me something about, they're like, I mean, they're getting paid, hourly. I mean, do you know how much they're getting paid hourly? And do you know how I knew? Is because I had waited tables.
There you go.
right? I had that experience and I had appreciation for what it took to earn your money that way.
Yeah.
Now, if they didn't do well, by all means, I mean, we can also be really hard on people who aren't good servers once you've been one.
Correct.
But at the same, not hard in a mean way. I don't want people to think that I bully my servers. But I'm all over the map with this one. But it really does allow you to have appreciation, right? When you've walked in someone else's shoes, when you know what it's like to do that thing or you've experienced that thing, right? You have appreciation for it. And also, again, back to my first point coming into this, is that yes, it's important for us to own who we are and our own brilliance and our own sovereignty, but also recognize what other puzzle pieces fit into ours to make the whole happen.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So as a puzzle piece, I have all these grooves and niches. And what are they for? They're for other people's pieces to fit into, right? For people to pour into me in ways that I can't or don't want to do, right? Instead of doing all the things in my business, I hire an administrative assistant and, a marketing person and to do the things they do, a bookkeeper. And, these are, I can trust that they're going to take care of my business in those areas better than I can.
Wow.
Right. And so not only do we get to be collaborative in making this thing work, but we each get to do what we're best at. And we get to appreciate one another in what the other one offers.
Wow, Traci, I love that puzzle piece, making sure you fit, in your space, but also making sure that others fit in yours, and that's the collaboration that completes this puzzle, that why we're here. Carl, Carl comments that when I was a kid, I tried my best not to color outside the lines, and if I did, I would throw it in the trash and start over. Years later, I bought that perfectionist person with me, and it was so miserable. But now I embrace my mistakes and going outside the lines.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
That's beautiful. Carl, you need to post that somewhere. Not just here. Like that's like a separate post. I don't know if you're also a Facebook. I mean, you're seeing us on Facebook, so I'm assuming you're on Facebook. But I mean, that's a post. That's a quotation post.
And we must, I think we end with that. We must go outside the lines in order to live.
Yes.
You can't just be in the lines. Come on, go outside the lines. Traci.
You might have fun.
You might, Hey, Traci Phillips, Traci Waldman Phillips, TWP.
Thank you for saying TWP and not TP.
No. I sat down today and I woke up this morning and I went, what's on my schedule? And I go, well, and I see, Traci, yeah, we get to talk today. So hey, it was worth it.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend. This gave me a boost.
Yes.
Better than any caffeine boost.
hey. So hey, Carl, you get the eavesdropper for today. You eavesdrop like nobody's business.
He dropped all over it. I love it. And he had that takeaway. I would definitely post that, Carl.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes. You guys have a good one. We'll miss you for the next 2 weeks, but we'll see you in 2 weeks. So
we'll see you soon. It comes around quick. But have a good one.
Yes. Take
care. Thank you, my friend.
Bye-bye.